Howdy YouTube, Esnix here with another update to the Ezarcher project. So I know this is only a few days after, maybe a week after the last update. New ISOs, big surprise, right? Um, there was a relatively big change made in Arch, the switch to Dbus-Broker units and Dbus-Broker over Dbus daemon. So I figured I wanted to respin the ISOs to incorporate that latest change. I also took the opportunity to make some other changes. The biggest change is the use of the LTS kernel instead of the standard Linux kernel in the Arch repos. Now the LTS kernel was just updated to version 6.6.11. I believe a few days ago. So we're on a very recent kernel at the moment with the LTS. And I'm hoping that the use of the LTS will produce a more stable ISO, more stable installed system. And then from there, the user can is given the choice of installing the standard kernel, or if they want the Zen kernel or the hardened kernel. But the LTS will be the base of the system. And that took a little bit of testing and reworking. So the Calamares settings have changed. The templates have changed in a number of ways. Won't go over all of them, barely go over the details, but you can look at the files. We'll go over some. The other change is that I removed the desktop customization that I put into the Cinnamon, Mate, and XFCE desktops. The two Qt desktops, KDE Plasma and LXQT, have always been shipped as those desktops install out of the repos with no customization on my part. Now, the GTK desktops, I did start customizing a while ago, especially because Cinnamon looks so damn hideous by default. And I decided to go back to that standard shipping of the desktops as installed out of the repos rather than with any desktop customization. We're going to boot up the Cinnamon desktop here, and you'll see what I mean about how ugly it is standard. So let's go ahead and boot up the machine here. And this is the Cinnamon ISO, spun January 13th, 2024. And it should come up to the SDDM login manager any second now. There we go. Now, Cinnamon has started shipping Cinnamon on Wayland as an experimental feature. You can drop down the menu here and switch to X11 if you wish. So that's what we're going to do. And then log in as live with the password live, L-I-V-E. That hasn't changed since day one. And we can see the desktop does not provide a background. The icon set, the Adwaita icon set, is pretty ugly. And this is a result of changes in the GNOME desktop packages that Cinnamon relies on. And Cinnamon still is not integrating too well with some of its GNOME packages. Now, it's relatively easy to make this desktop look a little better. Let's do that. So if we go up and look for the settings icon in this leftmost column, we don't see a settings icon. There is a blank icon space, and that is the settings. So let's go to settings. What we're going to do is go to themes, and we're going to change the application style to Arc Dark. We're going to change the icons to Papyrus Dark, and we're going to change the desktop to Arc Dark. Very good. Now at least we have better icons, and we have the settings icon displaying with the Papyrus set. Now for the background, we can go through and look at the backgrounds at least. This at least is now working. For a while this wasn't even working. So let's see what we have. We have a bunch of pretty boring images to choose from. Let's go ahead and pick another location. Let's go to the computer. Let's go to USR, share, and it's reverse alphabetical order. So let's go to backgrounds and open. And at least here we have the two standard Ezarcher backgrounds. So let's pick this one. And now we have a desktop that's actually usable. And this is how it used to look when I themed it. Now, by removing the themes, what I'm hoping to accomplish is not interfering with desktop settings that have been affecting the way my Ezarcher installs in foreign locales other than US English. Now, I don't want to introduce any possible settings that interfere with the keyboard setting or the language setting of the desktop. So by not shipping any customization, I'm hoping I am not introducing any problems. All of the work I had done over the last few weeks to correct the installation in anything other than a locale of American English resulted in desktops that were almost were not installed in the correct locale. So let's see. This hopefully feedback will work. Will prove that this works. Let's go ahead and go back to settings. Let's go ahead and look for the display settings. Change these to something a little better. That didn't want to take. Did it freeze? It looks like it froze. Interesting. That froze up, didn't it? It didn't. Oh. Okay, currently in fallback mode. Try this again. That worked. Very good. Okay. I'm curious. The video mode is QXL. That was working without a problem. This looks like it's just a temporary thing with Cinnamon, but we have the right desktop settings now. So let's go ahead and do a test installation with Calamares. That would be under Administration, Install System, password is live, and I believe this VM is set up with a BIOS, legacy BIOS, rather than UEFI. So America Phoenix, English default, erase disk. Let's give ourselves some swap. Hit next. Put in our test name. Put in a password. Next, install and install. Very good. While this is working its way around the installation, let's open up the File Manager, and we can take a quick peek at some of the changes that were made. Let's go ahead and open up the Ezarcher folder, go to the templates, Let's select the Cinnamon template here. Copy this out into the home folder. Paste, there we go. Extract here. There we go. Okay, the steps sh script has changed slightly. It's a little laggy because the installation is running at the same time. I also have a cat in the corner ripping apart a box, if you can hear that noise. So one of the changes I made was to remove the Linux preset file that Arch ISO uses. Because of the switch in kernel, I did not want the linux.preset file in the build. I also removed the skel folder, but I do have to make an empty skel folder just to transfer my link to my documentation. Those are the only real changes in the steps sh script. Let's take a peek at the packages file. The kernel is now Linux LTS. Dbus-Broker and broker units is now specified. Linux LTS headers is now specified, as well as in networking, the R8168 LTS package is specified. That was the everything I needed to replace the Linux standard kernel with the LTS kernel in the packages. In the boot sections here, we'll look at just the grub section, the grub.cfg. Specified, let's see, where is it? VM Linux LTS and init RAM Linux LTS. In both stanzas, that was the end of the grub.config changes. The EFI boot and the syslinux bootloaders were also changed to specify Linux LTS. In Calamares, the modules, let's see, initcpio.conf specifies Linux LTS. What else? Unpack FS specifies VM Linux LTS. And the shell process that I use to correct the mkinitcpio files specifies copying over to the name Linux LTS preset. I believe I've covered pretty much all of the details. I said I wouldn't, but I did. So there you go. Let's take a look at the installer, see how we're doing. We are almost done. Managed to talk my way through the entire installation process. Now, I didn't test this installation by doing it in a foreign language or locale. Let's go ahead and, you know what, let's just shut her down. And then we can remove the ISO and change the boot order in the VM. So boot options, we don't want to boot the ISO, we want to boot the disk. We can remove the ISO and restart the machine. And we come up to our grub. We can see the Linux LTS is the kernel that's booting. as I now want it to be. We can change this to cinnamon, put in our password we selected during installation, and we're going to have to make the desktop look usable again as well, because we get the ugly desktop. So let's go ahead and do that. Go to Settings, Themes, Arc Dark, Papyrus Dark, Arc Dark. Go to Backgrounds. Let's just pick this to be easy. And go to Display and change the resolution. And that worked without incident. Let's open up a terminal, make it a little bigger. Oh, a little too big. Uname, we can see the kernel is 6.6.11 LTS. Everything else is the same as it always has been. Hopefully the system's a little more robust with the LTS kernel and follows the new standard of Dbus-Broker rather than Dbus-Daemon. The rest of it stays the same. Hopefully there are no problems. I've updated the SourceForge and the archive.org download sites for the project. So all the new ISOs are up, all the new project files are up, and all the old is gone. So hopefully you enjoyed the video and enjoy the system if you use it. Take care, stay safe. Bye-bye, folks.